He installed the cameras to catch a thief. 7 days of recording, 7 sleepless nights. And when he finally sat down to watch, expecting to see hands snatching jewelry, he saw something that made his heart stop. The housekeeper, in the children's room, at 3 in the morning, doing something no camera should ever capture. Have you ever felt like you were missing something crucial right in front of you? That the answer was there all along, but you were too blind to see it? Then this story is for you. Mr. Davies had everything money could buy. An estate with 42 rooms, cars that cost more than houses, a business empire that stretched across 3 continents, and 3 children he could barely bring himself to look at. Not for a lack of love, but because of too much guilt. 2 years ago, on a rainy night, Mr. Davies was driving. His wife Michelle was in the passenger seat. The triplets were in the back. Ethan, Olivia and Noah, 5 years old. 3 lives, an entire future ahead of them. The truck appeared out of nowhere, headlight broken, driver asleep at the wheel. Mr. Davies tried to swerve, tried to protect, tried to do something, anything. But some things just can't be avoided. Michelle died on impact. Mr. Davies walked away with scrapes. And the triplets never walked again. Paralysis. In all 3 children, from the waist down, permanent. The doctors said they were lucky, that it could have been worse, that they were alive. Mr. Davies didn't feel lucky. He felt cursed. Because every time he looked at his children, he saw the wife he had lost. He saw the accident he had caused. He saw the legs that would never run, jump, or dance again. So he did what weak men do when the pain is too great. He pulled away. He dove into work. Started coming home after the children were asleep. Started leaving before they woke up. He hired the best nannies, the best doctors, the best physical therapists. He gave them everything money could buy. Everything. Except himself. The triplets grew up with nurses and housekeepers, grew up seeing their father through closed doors and rushed phone calls, grew up thinking they had done something wrong, that their father didn't love them anymore, that they were a burden. Each child coped in their own way. Ethan, the oldest by 2 minutes, became angry. He yelled at the nannies, broke things, refused physical therapy, hated the world that had taken his legs and his father. Olivia, the middle child, became muted, not literally, but almost. She responded with nods, with glances, with silences that lasted for hours, as if she had decided that talking was pointless. Noah, the youngest, became optimistic in a way that broke your heart. Always smiling, always saying that everything would be all right, always believing that his father would come back to loving them, always hoping. 3 children, 3 ways to survive, none of them healthy. And Mr. Davies saw none of it. He was too busy building walls, too busy running, too busy pretending that distance was protection, until Veronica Sterling appeared. Veronica Sterling, 34 years old and beautiful, elegant, wealthy in her own right. The kind of woman who made heads turn when she walked into a room. She met Mr. Davies at a charity gala. He was alone, she was too. They started talking. One thing led to another. 6 months later, they were engaged. Mr. Davies thought Veronica was perfect. She understood his world, understood the pressure, understood that he needed to work. She never complained about his absences, never asked for too much attention, never forced conversations about the triplets, Mr. Davies didn't realize that that was a sign. Veronica hated children, especially children that weren't hers, especially children who competed for the attention of her future husband, especially children in wheelchairs whom she thought were a burden, an embarrassment, something to be hidden. When Mr. Davies wasn't looking, Veronica showed who she really was, looks of contempt, comments about how it would be easier if they went to boarding school, suggestions that Mr. Davies deserved peace, deserved a life without having to worry about special needs. She planted the seed slowly, carefully, with the patience of an experienced manipulator, and the seed was starting to germinate. But there was someone in the house who saw everything, who heard everything, who felt everything. Maria Rodriguez, 28 years old, housekeeper and caregiver, hired 8 months ago to help with cleaning and, when necessary, with the triplets. Maria wasn't like the other housekeepers. The others did their job and left. The others treated the children as part of the routine. The others didn't stay late, didn't wake up in the middle of the night, didn't do more than was asked. Maria did. Because Maria saw something in the triplets that no one else did. Saw children desperate for love. Saw potential hidden behind anger and silence. Saw 3 human beings who deserved more than they had received. And Maria knew that feeling. She had grown up in foster care, without parents, without family, without anyone who said she mattered. She had fought every day of her life to prove that she deserved to exist. She had graduated in physical therapy, working nights and studying during the day, dreamed of opening a clinic, of helping children like she had been, of making a difference. But the money never came, and the dreams became more and more distant. The job at the Davies estate was temporary, just a step, just a means, until she met Ethan, Olivia, and Noah, and everything changed. She saw Ethan breaking a toy in anger. Instead of scolding him, she sat next to him, asked him why he was angry, listened, really listened, and when he finished yelling about how he hated his legs that didn't work, she said something that no one else had said. "You have every right to be angry, but anger won't make your legs come back. It will only make you lose the things that still work, your heart, your head, your ability to be happy." Ethan stopped yelling that day. She saw Olivia drawing alone, picked up a paper, sat next to her, started drawing too, said nothing, asked nothing, just stayed there, present. And after an hour of silence, Olivia showed her the drawing. A family. Father, mother, 3 children. The mother had wings. "She's an angel now," Olivia whispered. The first words Maria had heard her say in weeks. Maria kept the drawing, still keeps it. She saw Leo pretending he was okay, saw the smile that hid the pain, saw the optimism that was actually disguised desperation. And one day, when Leo said that everything was fine, Maria sat in front of him and said, "You don't have to pretend with me. You can be sad, you can cry, you can feel what you feel. I'm not going anywhere." Leo cried that day. For the first time in 2 years, Maria wasn't paid to do this. It wasn't in her job description. It wasn't in the contract. But she did it anyway. And that's why Veronica Sterling hated her. Because Veronica saw it. She saw the way the children looked at Maria. She saw the affection Maria gave. She saw the threat she represented. If Mr. Davies were to realize that a simple housekeeper was more of a mother to his children than his own fiancée, things would change. And Veronica couldn't let that happen. So she made a plan. Simple, efficient, cruel. A diamond brooch. Antique, expensive. It had belonged to Mr. Davies' mother. Veronica took it from the safe, hid it in Maria's room, and waited for the right moment. The right moment came on a Thursday evening. "Mr. Davies, have you seen my brooch?" "The diamond one that belonged to your mother." Mr. Davies frowned. "No, why?" "It was in the safe. Now it's gone." Silence. "Do you think someone—" Veronica let the sentence hang in the air. Let Mr. Davies complete it himself. And he did. He didn't want to believe it. He didn't want to think that someone in the house was a thief. But the brooch was missing. And Veronica was planting seeds of doubt. "Maybe we should check," she said, discreetly. "How?" "Cameras." The word hung in the air. Mr. Davies hesitated. Cameras were an invasion of privacy. Cameras were suspicion. Cameras were admitting that something was wrong. But his mother's brooch was gone, and he needed to know. "I'll install them tomorrow," he said. And so it began. What Mr. Davies didn't know, what Veronica hadn't planned, what no one could have predicted, was what the cameras would really show. He didn't know that the next 72 hours of recording would destroy everything he thought he knew about his own house, about his fiancée, about his children, about the housekeeper he barely knew, and about himself. The cameras were installed the next day, discreet, hidden, in every room of the house except the bathrooms. 27 electronic eyes seeing everything, recording everything, capturing everything. Mr. Davies programmed them to record continuously. 72 hours of footage. Then he'd sit down and watch. He'd find the thief. He'd solve the problem. He had no idea what problem he was about to find. During the 3 days of recording, life continued as normal. Mr. Davies worked. Veronica smiled. The triplets existed in their separate world, and Maria did what she always did. She cared. But Mr. Davies wasn't watching yet. He was busy. Meetings, contracts, the business empire that couldn't wait. When he finally sat down to watch the recordings, it was Friday night, late. The house was silent. Veronica had gone to a spa. The triplets were asleep. Mr. Davies poured himself a whiskey, turned on the computer, opened the files, and started watching. The first few hours were tedious. Housekeepers cleaning, cooks cooking, the driver washing cars. Nothing interesting. Nothing suspicious. Mr. Davies sped up the recording, searching, hoping to see someone entering the office, someone messing with the safe, someone stealing. He saw nothing. He kept watching, hours passing on the screen in minutes, the sun rising and setting in accelerated speed, the house living without him even realizing it. And then came the recording from 3 in the morning. Mr. Davies almost skipped it. It was the middle of the night. Everyone should be asleep. There was no reason to pay attention, but something caught his eye. Movement. In the triplets' room. He paused the recording, rewound it, put it back on normal speed, and he saw it. The door to the room opening slowly, a figure entering, dim light, silent footsteps. Maria, the housekeeper. Mr. Davies felt his blood run cold. There she was, the thief, entering the children's room in the middle of the night, doing something she shouldn't. He leaned forward, eyes glued to the screen, waiting to see the crime. And he saw Maria kneeling beside Ethan's bed, gently picking up his leg, starting to make movements. Slow, gentle, repetitive. Physical therapy. At 3 in the morning, Mr. Davies frowned. It didn't make sense. Why would she be doing physical therapy in the middle of the night? Who did that? He kept watching. Maria spent 20 minutes with Ethan, moving his legs, massaging his muscles, speaking softly words that the camera didn't capture but that sounded kind. Then she went to Olivia. Another 20 minutes. The same movements, the same care, the same affection. Then Noah. Another 20 minutes. 1 hour. An entire hour of work that no one asked for, that no one paid for, that no one knew about. When she finished, Maria stood still looking at the children. She adjusted their blankets, kissed each of their foreheads, and left silently. Mr. Davies sat there, the whiskey forgotten, his mind in shock. The camera captured something at 3:12 in the morning, and Mr. Davies felt his blood run cold. Not from the crime he expected, but from the love he had never seen. Mr. Davies rubbed his eyes, looked at the clock. 3 in the morning. The irony wasn't lost on him. The same hour that Maria was taking care of his children, he was discovering it for the first time. He should go to sleep. He should process what he had seen. He should wait until morning. But he couldn't stop. He rewound the recording. searched for other moments, other nights, other times. And he found them. Maria at 6 in the morning, before any other employee woke up, preparing the triplets' breakfast. Not the standard breakfast that the cook made. Something special. Animal-shaped pancakes for Noah, scrambled eggs the way Ethan liked them, fruits cut into stars for Olivia. She knew every preference, every detail. Mr. Davies didn't know these preferences. He had never asked. He kept watching, Maria helping the children get dressed, with patience and with calm, talking about the day, asking about dreams, laughing at childish jokes. The triplets laughed with her. They really laughed. Those laughs that Mr. Davies hadn't heard in 2 years. He felt something tighten in his chest. He fast-forwarded the recording. More scenes, more moments. Maria in the garden with the triplets. She had adapted a ball game for them to play from their wheelchairs. Ethan was laughing. Ethan, who only knew how to scream, was laughing. Maria reading stories to Olivia at night, making different voices for each character. Olivia was smiling. Olivia, who had forgotten how to smile, was smiling. Maria singing Noah to sleep, a soft song, a lullaby. Noah was crying, but not from sadness, from something that felt like peace. Hour after hour, Mr. Davies watched, and hour after hour he realized how much he had missed. 2 years. 2 years living in the same house as his children and knowing nothing about them. Not knowing that Ethan was afraid of the dark. Not knowing that Olivia drew angels because she thought their mother was one. Not knowing that Noah pretended to be okay so he wouldn't worry anyone. A housekeeper knew more about his children than he did. A stranger was more of a mother than he was a father. The shame burned. The guilt crushed. The reality was unbearable. Mr. Davies paused the recording, took a deep breath, poured another glass of whiskey, and downed it in one gulp. It wasn't enough. Not nearly enough to erase what he was feeling. He should stop. He'd seen enough. Maria wasn't a thief. She was practically a saint. But something made him continue. An intuition, a fear, a certainty that there was more. He fast-forwarded to the second day of recording, searched for Veronica, found her. Veronica in the triplets' room. Late morning. Mr. Davies at work. Maria doing errands. Veronica looking at the children with an expression Mr. Davies had never seen before, an expression that made his stomach churn. Disgust. Veronica looking at his children with disgust. Mr. Davies cranked up the volume. He needed to hear. He needed to know. Veronica's voice blasted through the speakers. Clear, cold, cruel. You know your father would be a lot happier if he didn't have to worry about you three, don't you? Silence from the children. You're a burden. An embarrassment. Nobody wants to look at 3 children in wheelchairs all day. Mr. Davies felt bile rising in his throat. When I marry your father, things are going to change. You'll be going to a boarding school far away from here, in Switzerland, where nobody will have to look at you. Ethan's voice came, low, tremulous. Our father loves us. Veronica laughed, a laugh that made Mr. Davies want to reach through the screen and if he loved you, he'd be here, wouldn't he? When was the last time he spent more than 5 minutes in the same room with you? When was the last time he told you he loved you? Silence. Mr. Davies couldn't breathe. Exactly what I thought, Veronica said. Now, keep quiet and don't tell anyone about our little chat. If you do, well, accidents happen to children who talk too much. The recording continued. Veronica leaving the room, the triplets remaining silent, Olivia starting to cry softly, Ethan clenching his fists. Noah staring into the distance with that empty smile that Mr. Davies now understood. He saw Veronica's lips move, read the words were, and felt the urge to vomit. But that wasn't the worst of it. There was more. Mr. Davies fast-forwarded the recording, trembling, sweating, his heart pounding so loudly he could hear it. He found another scene, Veronica and Olivia, alone. Olivia was drawing. Veronica approached, looked at the drawing, snatched it from the girl's hand and, "What's this? A happy family? You think you're going to have a happy family?" Veronica tore the drawing, piece by piece, in front of Olivia. "Your mother is dead. Your father doesn't care. And you're stuck in that chair forever. There's no such thing as a happy family for you." Olivia said nothing, just looked, with those empty eyes, with that silence that Mr. Davies thought was shyness. It wasn't shyness, it was trauma. Mr. Davies stopped the recording. He couldn't anymore. He couldn't watch anymore. His hands were shaking. His whole body was trembling. Rage, guilt, disgust, all mixed into something he couldn't name. His fiancée, the woman he was going to marry, the woman he thought was perfect, was a monster. And he had allowed that monster near his children. Mr. Davies sat in the dark for a long time, processing, trying to understand how he could have been so blind, how he could have let this happen, how he had failed so completely. The photo of his late wife was in the drawer. He took it out, looked at Sarah's face, at the smile he would never see again. "I destroyed everything," he whispered. "I destroyed everything you left me." The photo didn't answer. Photos never do. But something inside Mr. Davies answered. Something he had buried along with his wife. Something he thought had died in the accident. Determination. He was going to fix this, and he was going to protect his children. He was going to be the father he should have been. He was going to destroy Veronica. But first, he needed a plan. Mr. Davies returned to the recordings, not to see more cruelty, but to see more of Maria. He needed to understand. He needed to know who this woman was who cared for his children without asking for anything in return. He found scenes he hadn't seen before. Maria sitting with Ethan after a nightmare, holding his hand, saying that she had nightmares too, that it was okay to be afraid, that strong people cry too. Maria teaching Olivia how to braid her hair. The two of them laughing at a hairstyle that went wrong. Olivia speaking. Complete words. Entire sentences. With Maria, she spoke. Maria carrying Noah to the window at dawn to see the stars, explaining constellations, inventing stories about each one. Noah asking if his mom was up there. Maria saying yes, that she was always watching, always caring, even from afar. Mr. Davies wept, sitting in that dark office, watching security recordings. The most powerful man that most people knew wept like a child. He wept for the time lost, for the moments he let pass, for the father he should have been. He wept for the wife he lost, for the children he abandoned, for the life he destroyed, and he wept with gratitude for Maria, for this woman who appeared out of nowhere and saved his children from an absent father and a cruel stepmother. She deserved more than he could give, more than money, more than gratitude. She deserved the truth. Mr. Davies looked at the clock. 6 in the morning. The sun was rising. A new day, a new chance. He closed the computer, rose from the chair, walked to the triplets' room. The door was ajar. He peeked in. There they were, his children, sleeping. The wheelchairs next to each bed, the light of dawn coming through the window, and Maria, sitting in an armchair in the corner, sleeping too, exhausted from a night caring for children that weren't hers. Mr. Davies stood in the doorway, looking, recording that scene in his memory. He had installed cameras to catch a thief. He found an angel. If this story resonates with you, if you know someone who cares for children with such love, give it a like. Share it. Show that this kind of kindness deserves to be seen. Morning arrived. Mr. Davies hadn't slept. He just kept thinking, planning, preparing. Veronica would be back from the spa the next day. There was a gala coming up next week. All of Mr. Davies' associates would be there, all the important people. The perfect setting for a revelation. But first, he needed to make sure Maria was safe. Veronica was dangerous. When she found out she'd been unmasked, she was going to strike out. She was going to lie. She was going to try to destroy Maria in any way possible. Mr. Davies knew the brooch. He knew the plan. Veronica had planted evidence. If he simply ended the engagement, she would use that. She would turn Maria into the villain. He was going to destroy the reputation of an innocent woman. He needed to be smarter. He called his lawyer, his head of security, his tech expert. "I want copies of all the recordings," he commanded. "I want them authenticated. I want them to be tamper-proof." "And what about Miss Sterling, sir?" Mr. Davies looked out the window, at the garden where his children were playing, where Maria was pushing their wheelchairs, laughing at something Noah had said. "As for her," he said, his voice low and dangerous, "I'll take care of that personally." The lawyer hesitated. "Sir, if I may," he began cautiously, "a public accusation like this could lead to lawsuits, defamation, emotional distress." Mr. Davies turned. He fixed the lawyer with that gaze, the one that made CEOs tremble in board meetings. "She threatened my children," he said, each word clipped and precise. "She psychologically abused them for months. She planted false evidence to frame an innocent employee. Don't talk to me about lawsuits. Talk to me about justice." The lawyer nodded stiffly. "Yes, sir." The pieces were moving. Veronica would return tomorrow, completely unaware that her mask had slipped. The gala dinner was in 5 days, the perfect stage for the revelation. And Maria would continue caring for the children, blissfully unaware that her world was about to shatter. Mr. Davies spent the day watching, seeing things he'd never seen before, noticing details that had always been there, but he had failed to grasp. Ethan smiled when Maria told jokes, not the forced smile he gave to adults, a genuine smile. Olivia hummed along while Maria braided her hair. Hummed. The little girl who barely spoke was humming. Noah showed every accomplishment to Maria first, every drawing, every new movement he managed to make, as if her opinion was the only one that mattered, because it was. To them, it was. At the end of the day, Mr. Davies made a decision, a resolution etched in steel. He wasn't just going to fire Veronica. He wasn't just going to expose the truth. He was going to rebuild everything. From the beginning, he was going to be the father he should have been. He was going to get to know his children, truly. He was going to earn the love that Maria had cultivated in them. He was going to deserve Maria if she'd allow it, if she would have him. But first, there was a monster to destroy, a viper to strike down. The gala dinner was on Friday. 30 executives, their wives, their partners, the elite of the business world gathered in a ballroom that cost more than most people earned in a lifetime. Veronica was radiant, black dress, jewels that sparkled, the perfect smile of someone who has no idea what's coming. She walked beside Mr. Davies all night, her hand possessively on his arm, her sugary voice introducing herself as the future Mrs. Davies, the role of perfect fiancée executed with cold, calculating precision. Mr. Davies said nothing. He smiled at the right moments. He greeted the right people. He did what was expected, but inside, he was counting the minutes, each one a step closer to justice. Dinner was served, conversations about business and about politics, about nothing that truly mattered. Veronica talked about the wedding, about the plans, about the honeymoon in Italy. And of course, she said, loud enough for the table to hear, "We'll have to sort out the children's situation first." She stated with a fake pout, "Mr. Davies agrees that a specialized boarding school would be best for them. More resources, more care. And then we can focus on the wedding without any worries. Mr. Davies felt the anger surge, felt his blood boil, a fire threatening to consume him, but he maintained his composure. It wasn't time yet. Dinner ended. The tables were cleared. A dance floor was opened. Mr. Davies requested everyone's attention. The room fell silent, all eyes on the host, expecting a speech, a toast, something corporate. "I wanted to thank everyone for being here," Mr. Davies began. "Tonight is special. It's a night of revelations." Veronica smiled beside him, thinking he was going to announce the wedding, thinking it was her moment to shine. She was right about one thing. It was a night of revelations, a night of reckoning, but not the kind she expected. "A week ago," Mr. Davies said, his voice growing steely, "I installed security cameras in my home." He paused, letting the words sink in. "Someone convinced me that there was a thief among my employees. Someone planted false evidence to frame an innocent woman." Veronica frowned, a flicker of worry, a crack in her facade. "I watched the recordings," Mr. Davies continued, 72 hours of footage, and what I saw changed my life." The room was in absolute silence. Not a sound of silverware. Not a whisper. "I saw a caregiver waking up at 3 in the morning to do physical therapy with my children." He paused, his voice thick with emotion. "I saw her singing them to sleep. I saw her treating them with more love than I had in 2 years." Murmurs began to ripple through the room, a rising tide of unease. Veronica was pale, her perfect makeup failing to conceal the fear gnawing at her. "And I saw something else," Mr. Davies said, his voice turning cold. "I saw my fiancée telling my children that they were a burden. I saw her threatening 5-year-olds. I saw her tearing up drawings in front of a 5-year-old girl and telling her she'd never have a happy family." The room exploded in whispers, a cacophony of shock and disgust. "Mr. Davies," Veronica said, her voice trembling, "this is a misunderstanding. You're—" She didn't finish the sentence. Mr. Davies took his phone out of his pocket. He pressed a button. The large screen behind them came to life. And there she was. Veronica. In the triplets' room, her words echoing through the ballroom. "You're a burden," she spat on the screen. "A disgrace. Nobody wants to look at 3 children in wheelchairs all day." 30 executives watching, 30 executives listening, 30 executives watching the mask fall. Veronica tried to speak, tried to defend herself, tried to say anything. But Mr. Davies wasn't finished. He showed more. Veronica tearing up Olivia's drawing. Veronica pinching Noah when no one was looking. Veronica threatening Ethan if he told. Everything. Every cruel moment. Every venomous word. Every piece of evidence of who she really was. When it was over, Veronica was surrounded. Not physically, socially. All the looks of disgust. All the faces turning away. No one wanting to be near her. "The engagement is over," Mr. Davies said, his voice hard as granite. "And you have 24 hours to leave town. If I see you anywhere near my children again, I will use these recordings to destroy much more than just your reputation." Veronica looked at him, at the room, at the people who had admired her moments before, and she understood that she had lost, utterly and completely. "You'll regret this," she said, her voice shaking with rage. "You think anyone will believe you? I have proof that the housekeeper is a gold digger. You have a brooch that you hid in her room," Mr. Davies interrupted, cutting her off with a dismissive wave. "And I have the recording of you doing it." Veronica went white, the life drained from her face. The whole room saw it. The whole room heard it. And the whole room knew that she was exactly what Mr. Davies said she was, a manipulator, a liar, a monster. Veronica smiled, that desperate smile of someone who is losing. "Everything. You think you've won?" she said, her voice laced with venom. "You think this housekeeper cares about you? She just wants your money. She's a con artist, Enough. The voice wasn't Mr. Davies's. It was Maria. She was standing in the doorway of the living room. She'd come to bring Mr. Davies a document he'd requested. She had arrived just in time to hear everything. And now she was there, frozen, looking at Veronica with an expression no one expected. "I don't want his money," Maria said, her voice calm, firm. "I don't want anything from him. I take care of those children because they need someone, because they deserve love, because I know what it's like to grow up with no one." The living room fell silent. "You called them a burden," Maria continued, her voice unwavering. "You said no one wanted to look at them. You threatened them. 5-year-old children who lost their mother and their legs on the same day. Children who only wanted to be loved." Maria took a step forward. "You're a monster, and I hope you spend the rest of your life knowing exactly what you are." Veronica opened her mouth, then closed it. She had nothing left to say. She glanced around one last time, at the faces that avoided her gaze, at the backs that were turning away, at the world that had just discovered who she truly was. And she left, without a word, without a defense, without anything. The door closed behind her, and it was the end. The room remained silent for a moment. Then the murmurs began. People approached Mr. Davies, offering support, saying they never liked Veronica, that they always felt something was off about her. Mr. Davies wasn't listening. He was staring at Maria. She was still in the doorway, looking back, an expression that mixed surprise with something more. Mr. Davies walked towards her, crossing the room, ignoring everyone else. He stopped in front of Maria. "Thank you," he said softly, "for taking care of my children when I wasn't." Maria remained silent. "Thank you for loving them when I was afraid to love." Still, silence. "And I'm sorry for taking so long to see what was right in front of me." Maria looked up at him, into eyes that, for the first time, seemed honest, vulnerable, human. "You saw the recordings," she said quietly. "You saw everything?" "Everything," Mr. Davies confirmed. "The late-night physical therapy?" "Yes." "The bedtime stories?" "Yes." "The day I told Noah that his mother had become a star?" Mr. Davies swallowed hard and nodded. Maria took a deep breath. "I should have told you," she admitted, "about Veronica, about what she was doing, but I was afraid of losing my job, afraid no one would believe me, afraid of—" "I know," Mr. Davies interrupted gently, "and I understand. You did what you could. You protected my children, the only way you could." Silence settled between them. "Now, let me protect you," Mr. Davies said. Maria looked at him, confused. "What?" "Veronica will try to destroy you. She'll make up stories. She'll use that brooch. She'll do everything she can to hurt you." "I'm not afraid of her." "I know you're not," Mr. Davies said, "but I am. I'm afraid she'll take you away from my children. And they need you. I need you." The words hung in the air. Maria didn't know what to say. "Not as the housekeeper," Mr. Davies quickly clarified. "Not as the nanny. As part of the family, if you want." "You barely know me," Maria pointed out. "I've watched you take care of my children for 72 hours of recording. I've seen more of you in those hours than I saw of Veronica in a year. That's not the same as knowing someone. Then let me get to know you," Mr. Davies pleaded. "Let me learn. Let me try. I know I don't deserve it. I know I've been a terrible father. I know you have every right to walk away and never look back. But I'm asking. Stay. Please." Maria looked at him, at the room behind him, at the life that was changing in real time, and she thought of the triplets, of Ethan, who was finally learning to control his anger, of Olivia, who was starting to talk again, of Noah, who no longer needed to pretend everything was okay. She thought about what they needed. She thought about what she needed, and she said one word: Yes. That night, after the guests had left, after the gala ended, after Veronica vanished into the darkness from whence she came, Mr. Davies returned home. But he didn't go to his office. He didn't go to his bedroom. He went to the triplets' room. They were asleep. The 3 beds side by side. The 3 wheelchairs lined up neatly. 3 soft breaths filled the silence. Mr. Davies paused in the doorway. The same doorway he had avoided for 2 years. The same doorway that represented everything he had lost, and everything he was afraid to face. He walked in. He sat on the floor, between the beds, where he could see all 3 faces at once, and he stayed there, watching, burning every detail into his memory. Every freckle on Ethan's nose, every curl in Olivia's hair, every smile Noah made, even in his sleep. His children, his blood, his future. How much time had he lost? How many moments had he let slip away? How many nights like this could he have had? The tears came, silent, heavy. Mr. Davies, the man who made executives tremble, wept on the floor of his children's room like a lost boy. And that's how Maria found him. She had come to check on the children, as she did every night. She hadn't expected to find Mr. Davies there. She hadn't expected to see him cry. She wanted to leave, to give him privacy, to leave him alone. But something made her stay. "Stay," Mr. Davies said, his voice hoarse. "Please." Maria hesitated. Then she sat down next to him, on the floor, between the beds. The 2 of them remained silent for a long time, looking at the children, listening to their breaths, sharing something. That didn't need words. "I don't deserve them," Mr. Davies finally said. "I abandoned them for 2 years. I let them think I didn't love them. I let them suffer alone." "You were suffering too," Maria said softly. "That's not an excuse." "No, it's not, but it's an explanation." Mr. Davies looked at her. "How do you do it?" he asked. "How do you take care of them with so much love, without expecting anything in return, without demanding recognition?" Maria thought for a moment. "Because I know what it's like to grow up without it," she said. "Without love, without attention, without someone who cares. And I promised myself that if I could ever give that to someone, I would." Without a second thought, Mr. Davies looked at his children, at this woman who had appeared out of nowhere and saved everything. "Will you teach me?" he asked, his voice small, vulnerable. "To be a real father?" Maria smiled, for the first time that night. "You're already a father," she said gently. "You just need to remember how." The triplets started to wake up, first Noah, then Olivia, then Ethan, when they saw their father there, on the floor, next to them. They couldn't believe it. "Daddy?" Noah asked tentatively. "Are you really here?" "I'm here," Mr. Davies said, his voice breaking. "I'm here." Noah tried to get out of bed. His legs wouldn't obey. They never obeyed. But his arms worked. He threw himself into his father's arms. Mr. Davies held him tight, squeezed him close, smelled his son's hair, felt his heart beating against his own. Olivia came next, silent as always, but this time, the silence felt different. It was expectant, hopeful. Mr. Davies extended his arm. Olivia nestled close to her brother. Ethan was last, the most hesitant, the most wounded. "Are you going to leave again?" he asked, his voice rough, protected. "No," Mr. Davies said. "Never again. I promise." Ethan looked at him, searching for a lie, looking for deception. He found none. He joined his siblings. In the arms of the father, he'd forgotten how to embrace. The triplets looked at their father, for the first time in 2 years, and with hope. And Mr. Davies looked back, for the first time in 2 years, without fear. Maria watched from her chair in the corner, tears streaming down her face, her heart overflowing. She had come to this job to save money, to survive, to move on. She had found a family. The following months were about rebuilding. Mr. Davies reduced his work hours, hired a CEO for day-to-day operations. He made sure he was home when his children woke up. And when they went to sleep, he learned things he should have known a long time ago. He learned that Ethan had nightmares about the accident, that he woke up screaming and needed someone to tell him that everything was going to be all right. He learned that Olivia drew because words were difficult, that each drawing was a sentence she couldn't quite say. He learned that Noah pretended to be happy to protect everyone, that beneath the smile was a boy afraid of losing someone else. He learned to be a father, and Maria was beside him, teaching, guiding, loving, not as the housekeeper, not as the nanny, as something more, something that neither of them had planned, something that had grown slowly, quietly, inevitably. Love. A month after the charity gala, Mr. Davies found a drawing on the refrigerator. It wasn't Olivia's, it was Noah's. 4 people, holding hands, a tall man, a woman with dark hair, 3 children in wheelchairs decorated with stars. Beneath it, the shaky handwriting of a 5-year-old. Our family. Mr. Davies held the drawing, looked at it for a long time, then he went to find Maria. He found her in the garden, doing physical therapy with the triplets, moving legs that couldn't feel, working muscles that wouldn't respond, with the same patience she always had. "We need to talk," Mr. Davies said. Maria stopped, looked at him, concerned. "What happened?" Mr. Davies showed her the drawing. "Noah drew this," he said. Maria looked, saw the family, saw herself included. "Oh," she said. "Mr. Davies, I didn't ask him to do this. I didn't say anything to." "I know," Mr. Davies said. "He drew it because it's what he sees, it's what he feels, and it's what I feel too." Maria stopped breathing. "What?" Mr. Davies took a step forward, took her hands in his. "You saved my children," he said. "You saved me. You gave us a chance to be a family again. And I know it's early. I know you may not be ready. I know you deserve so much more than I can offer." "Mr. Davies." "But I'm asking," he said, "not to be my wife. Not yet. I'm asking you to give me a chance, to let me prove that I can be the man you deserve, the man my children deserve." Maria looked at him, at the eyes that had changed so much in the last few months, at the man who had transformed before her very eyes, and at the triplets who were watching, with those smiles she loved so much. "You don't need to prove anything," she said. "You already have. Every day. Every moment you spend with them. Every time you sit on the floor to play. Every night you tuck them into bed. So yes," she said. "I'll give you the chance. I'll give you as many chances as you need." Mr. Davies smiled. A real smile. The first in years. And he kissed her. Right there. In the garden. In front of his children, who cheered as if they had won all the Christmas presents at once. "Daddy kissed Maria!" Noah shouted. "Daddy kissed Maria!" Olivia was smiling. Really smiling. And Ethan was applauding. 6 months later, there was another gathering, much smaller than the gala. Just family, a few friends, the people who mattered. A wedding. Maria wore a simple dress, white, without expensive jewelry, without ostentation, just her. Mr. Davies wore a suit, the same suit he had worn the day he first saw her in the security footage, the day everything changed. And the triplets? The triplets were the stars of the show. 3 wheelchairs decorated with flowers, 3 pillows with rings, 3 children who finally had a complete family. Ethan carried Mr. Davies' ring, serious, responsible. The angry boy had become a protector. Olivia carried Maria's ring, smiling, humming. The silent girl had found her voice. And Noah was the master of ceremonies, telling jokes, making everyone laugh. The boy who pretended to be happy finally was. The vows were simple. Mr. Davies promised to be present, always, no matter what. Maria promised to love, always, no matter what. And when the pastor said they could kiss, 3 little voices shouted at the same time, "Kiss, kiss, kiss." They kissed, and the family was complete. After the wedding, there was a visit to the cemetery, to Sarah's grave. Mr. Davies took the triplets, took Maria, took flowers. "Hi, Sarah," he said, kneeling in front of the headstone, his children around him, his new wife beside him. "I took too long. I took too long, and I'm so sorry for that. But I finally understood what you always knew, that love isn't about protecting from afar. It's about being near, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts." He looked at the triplets. They're okay. They're happy. They're growing. Ethan is learning to control his anger. Olivia is talking again. And Noah is finally letting go of pretending. He looked at Maria. "And I found someone who took care of them when I couldn't. Someone who taught me how to be a father again. I know you would have liked her. She has the same heart as you." Maria squeezed his hand. "I'm going to take care of them," Mr. Davies said. "Of all of them. I promise." And this time, it was a promise he was going to keep, a year after the wedding. Something happened that no one expected. Noah was doing physical therapy. As always, Maria moving his legs, massaging his muscles, repeating the exercises she had done for years, and suddenly, Noah shouted, "I felt it! I felt something!" Maria stopped, looked at him. "What did you feel?" "My toe. It tingled." Maria looked at Noah's foot, at the toe that hadn't moved in 3 years. "Try to move it," she said, her voice trembling. Noah concentrated, his face furrowed, his body tense, and the toe moved, a millimeter, maybe less. But it moved. Maria screamed. Noah screamed. His siblings came rushing in their chairs. Mr. Davies came running from his office. "What happened? What happened?" "My toe," Noah said. "I moved my toe." No one knew if it would last. No one knew if it signaled recovery. No one knew if it was just a fleeting moment or the beginning of something more. But in that instant, none of that mattered. What mattered was, there was hope. What mattered was, Maria never gave up. What mattered was, miracles do happen for those who never stop trying. The doctors came. They ran tests. They spoke of neuroplasticity, of partial recovery, of possibilities no one expected. It wasn't a cure. Maybe it never would be. But it was progress. And progress was everything they needed. If you're watching this and know someone who cares for children with special needs, share this story. Show them that love makes a difference, that patience has power, that no one should give up hope. Mr. Davies had installed cameras to catch a thief. He found much more. He found the truth about his fiancée, the truth about his caregiver, the truth about himself. He found a family he thought he'd lost. He found a love he didn't know he deserved. He found a future he thought impossible, all because one woman woke up at 3 in the morning to care for children who weren't hers, all because an orphan who had never received love decided to give love, all because an ordinary caregiver had an extraordinary heart. Maria Rodriguez became Maria Davies, became a mother of 3 children in wheelchairs, became the wife of a billionaire, became the owner of a physical therapy clinic for children with special needs, became everything she never dreamed of being, not because she sought wealth, but because she sought love, and love found its way back to her. Veronica Sterling was never seen in town again. They say she moved to another country. They say she tried to start over. They say the video from the dinner party leaked and followed her wherever she went. No one felt sorry for her. The triplets grew up. Ethan became the protector of his siblings. Olivia became an artist. Noah became a comedian. None of them ever walked completely again. But all three learned that legs don't define people. Heart does, and they had 3 strong hearts. Mr. Davies learned to be a father, not the perfect father, not the father from the books, but the present father, the father who tried, the father who was there. It was enough. It was more than enough. And Maria? Maria continued waking up in the middle of the night, from time to time. Old habits die hard, but now, when she got up at 3 in the morning, Mr. Davies got up with her, and together, they went to watch their children sleep, together, as a family. This story isn't about cameras. It isn't about betrayal. It isn't about revenge. It's about seeing, really seeing the people around you, the things that are happening right in front of you. It's about stopping running and starting facing. It's about deserving the love that is given to us. Mr. Davies almost lost everything because he was afraid to look. Maria saved everything because she never stopped caring. The difference between the two was simple. One was running from pain. The other was transforming pain into love. If this story touched you, leave a like. If you know someone who needs to hear this, share it. If you want more stories like this, subscribe. And remember, sometimes, the person who changes your entire life is someone you don't even know exists. Someone who cares in silence. Someone who loves, without asking for anything. Someone a security camera might reveal. Look around you. Maybe your angel is closer than you think.